What I am about to tell you in the next few minutes will completely change the way you see every woman in your life. Your ex, the woman you like right now, the one who left you, the one who said she loved you but then acted like you didn't matter. Once you understand this truth about female psychology, a truth that took me years to fully grasp, confusion will vanish. You will stop losing in love. You will stop feeling helpless in the face of mixed signals. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share may be the most important insight you ever hear about women. I'm Mary Smith, and this is Mindful Senior Living, where we explore life, love, and relationships through a lens of understanding, empathy, and practical psychology. I want to take you deeper today, not just to observe patterns, but to understand them so profoundly that your interactions with women change forever. Let me tell you about Marcus. Marcus was 29, a good man in every sense. He was reliable, kind, thoughtful, and hardworking. He called when he said he would, remembered birthdays, her favorite color, even the small things she casually mentioned. He wrote long, heartfelt messages and planned thoughtful dates. In every way, he followed what most would call the rules of being a good partner. But the woman he loved, let's call her Priya, left him for a man who barely texted her back. Marcus sat across from me one evening, eyes red, voice breaking, and asked a question I will never forget. I did everything right. I gave her everything I had. Why wasn't I enough? That question, raw and painful, is exactly why I made this video today. Because Marcus is not alone. There are thousands of men right now lying in dark rooms, replaying conversations, wondering why doing everything right wasn't enough to keep love alive. And the answer isn't what people often tell you. It isn't about being less nice, playing games, or pretending not to care. The answer runs much deeper. It lies in understanding the hidden truths of female psychology that almost nobody talks about openly. Truths that operate quietly beneath every word a woman says, every choice she makes, every relationship she builds or walks away from. Once you understand it fully, everything else, the mixed signals, the tests, the confusion, starts to make perfect sense. Here is the core truth that changes everything. Women do not fall in love with what you do for them. They fall in love with how you make them feel about themselves. Let that sink in. Not the dinners you pay for, not the messages you send, not your reliability, stability, appearance, or success. What matters is how she feels about herself when she is with you. This is not a trick or manipulation. It is not a tactic. It is a fundamental truth about human emotion, one that shapes attraction at its deepest level. When you understand this, her behavior, choices, and even the so-called tests she gives you suddenly become clear. You start to see the logic behind what might have felt like irrational actions. You begin to see her as human, complex, and profoundly emotional, instead of confusing or unpredictable. Think about it from her perspective. A woman with a man who constantly seeks her approval, texts too much, cancels his own plans, or changes who he is to make her happy. How does she feel? She feels trapped. She feels burdened. She feels responsible for his happiness, and that weight becomes unbearable. She doesn't feel desired. She feels needed in a way that is draining rather than inspiring. But when a woman is with a man who has his own purpose, who sets boundaries, who walks through life with standards, she experiences something entirely different. She feels alive. She feels chosen. She feels like she has earned something, as though the connection is not a given but a gift. That electric feeling of being truly chosen, not just received, is what women recognize as love. It is the difference between obligation and desire, between habit and passion. And yet, I see the same pattern over and over, the one I call the proving trap. Good, kind, honest men fall into it without realizing it. They meet a woman who captivates them, and they decide to prove their worth, proving how reliable, caring, and exceptional they are. Every morning text, every favor, every yes when they want to say no becomes proof of their love. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, she begins to see him as low value. Because deep down, her brain registers this. If he will always be here no matter what I do, there is no risk, no challenge, no spark. And when that spark fades, no amount of proving, no number of kind gestures will reignite it. That's when men end up stuck in the friend zone or in a relationship where she stays out of habit, convenience, or comfort, but the fire of attraction is gone. I worked with a client recently whose relationship ended after 5 years. His girlfriend said she loved him but wasn't in love with him. He was devastated. When we examined what had happened, the pattern was clear. For 5 years, he had been in full proving mode. He canceled gym sessions, turned down career opportunities, changed his social circles, all to ensure she felt secure. And instead of feeling secure, she felt like she was dating a man with no spine, not because he was weak, but because he had buried the strongest parts of himself beneath layers of people-pleasing. He had tried so hard to be good. He had neglected the very qualities that made him attractive: his purpose, his boundaries, his individuality. That story broke my heart because it illustrates a painful truth. Love is not about proving yourself. It is about living fully as yourself. That is what women respond to on a deep emotional level. So what does she actually respond to? First, she responds to a man with purpose, someone who has a life, goals, and a direction that exist independently of her. A man who wakes up knowing what he is building, someone whose confidence comes from his identity, not her approval. That completeness, that sense of self, is magnetic. Second, she responds to emotional control, not coldness, but stability. A man who does not crumble under pressure, who stays grounded when she tests him, who can weather her fears and insecurities without losing himself. These tests are not cruelty. They are her emotional brain assessing whether you are safe to invest in. Third, she responds to a man who values himself, who has standards, who says no when it is necessary, who does not chase, beg, or bend himself into unrecognizable shapes just to keep her. Because when a man values himself, she perceives her own worth in relation to him. She feels that if he chooses her, she has earned something rare and precious, and that feeling is intoxicating. Mixed signals, then, are not a reflection of confusion or indecision. They are the collision of her logical and emotional brains. Her logical brain can tick every box. He is kind, stable, successful, but her emotional brain asks a different question. Does being with him make me feel alive? When a man has made himself too available, too predictable, too safe, the answer is no. The result is pull, push, warmth, coldness. Behavior that seems inconsistent, but is actually rooted in the deepest wiring of human desire and fear. Once you understand this, you stop taking mixed signals personally. You stop spiraling. You stop begging or overanalyzing. You realize it isn't about you being insufficient. It's about how human emotions work. I had a client, a quiet and gentle man, who came to me after being rejected by the same woman 3 times over 2 years. Each time she said, "I care about you, but I don't feel that way." He felt broken, confused, and powerless. We didn't focus on her, we focused on him. We worked on his identity, his purpose, and the life he wanted to live. He started saying no to things that didn't serve him. He got back into the gym. He pursued a business idea he had been putting off. And most importantly, he stopped letting his happiness depend on her approval. 6 weeks later, she reached out. She said she couldn't stop thinking about him, that she could feel something had changed even though she had barely seen him. The transformation she sensed wasn't a trick, a tactic, or manipulation. It was genuine. He hadn't changed for her. He had changed for himself. That is what female psychology responds to at the deepest level: authenticity, strength, direction, and the quiet power of a man who values himself. Here's something many men never hear. Women are not the enemy. Every mixed signal, every withdrawal is rarely intended to hurt. Often she is as conflicted and afraid as you are. Women's fears are real and deeply rooted. Fear of choosing the wrong man. Fear of giving their heart fully and being abandoned. Fear of being used. Fear of living safely but without passion. That fear drives behavior. Tests aren't cruelty. They are signals of inner fear. Walls aren't rejection. They are protection. And when you start seeing women as deeply human, feeling, and afraid, something in you shifts. You stop reacting from hurt and start responding with understanding. That understanding is what separates the man she walks away from and the man she walks toward. So how do you put this into practice? First, stop chasing approval. Every time you act to win her approval, you weaken yourself. Approval seeking is the fastest way to extinguish desire. Instead, do what you do because it aligns with your values. Build a life she wants to be part of, not a life designed around her. Make your life rich, full, and meaningful. Something that naturally inspires her admiration, curiosity, and desire. Second, hold your frame under pressure. When she tests you, becomes sharp, or withdraws, stay steady. Groundedness and calmness are more attractive than any clever line. This is not arrogance or coldness. It is emotional maturity, a signal that you can navigate life's ups and downs without crumbling. Third, cultivate your own purpose. When a man has direction, goals, and a mission outside of a relationship, he is magnetic. Women sense a man who is complete on his own, a man who does not need her validation to feel whole. That completeness is irresistible. Let's talk about emotional availability for a moment. Being available is not bad, but being overly available is. When you make her the source of your emotional stability, you burden her. When your sense of worth depends on her reactions, you stop being attractive. Take responsibility for your happiness first. Pursue your passions, your projects, your dreams, your friends, and your health. Be someone whose life matters and who cannot be derailed by another's opinion. That self-possession is magnetic in a way nothing else can match. I've seen men completely transform their romantic lives simply by committing to themselves first, by stepping fully into their identity. This leads us to a painful but necessary truth. The men who lose are rarely bad men. They are often the ones who care too much. The men who win are not perfect. They are simply men who know who they are, what they want, and what they will tolerate. They have standards. They hold boundaries. They embrace discomfort rather than constantly seeking comfort through the validation of others. And the result is remarkable. The woman who might have ignored them suddenly feels attraction in a way she could not when they were too predictable. Let's explore the concept of the earned spark. Attraction is not something you hand out. It is something a woman earns. That doesn't mean you play games. It means that by living fully as yourself, you create conditions where she has to step up to match you. That tension, the balance of desire and independence, is what fuels the heart-racing feeling of love. It's the difference between easy and alive. That is what makes her feel cherished, alive, and in love. I want to address men who have been burned by mixed signals. She may pull away one day, come close the next. It feels like confusion, but it isn't random. It's the dialogue between her logic and her emotions. Her logical brain evaluates stability and kindness. Her emotional brain, however, is asking, does being with him make me feel alive? When a man has made himself too safe or predictable, her emotional brain says no, even if her logic says yes. That is the internal conflict. Understanding this gives you power. You no longer need to chase or plead. You understand what she is processing and how to respond. You understand how to respond in a way that preserves your dignity and presence. I once worked with a man who faced rejection repeatedly. Each time her words were the same, I care about you, but I don't feel that way. Over 3 months, we worked on him, not her. He reclaimed his purpose, started a business he had delayed, prioritized his health, and established firm boundaries. 6 weeks later, she noticed the shift. She sensed a man who valued himself, who carried strength and emotional steadiness. That was what drew her back. Not his actions toward her, but his authentic transformation for himself. Women are drawn to real change, rooted in self-respect, not performance. Now, let's take this even deeper. Because understanding psychology is one thing, but living it consistently is where transformation happens. A common mistake I see is men trying to apply these lessons superficially, changing only their words, texting less, or trying to act confident, but without shifting who they actually are. Women sense authenticity at a level that is almost instinctual. No trick, no clever strategy, no line can replace genuine transformation. I want you to imagine yourself as a man who is fully anchored in his identity. Your values are clear, your goals are active, your standards are unshakable. You do not make your life revolve around her. You simply exist as a man whose life matters, whose presence is magnetic, and whose emotional center is steady. When you carry yourself this way, everything changes. You are no longer chasing. You are inviting. You are no longer reacting. You are leading. And the energy you emit naturally draws women in because it signals safety, strength, and independence, the very foundations of attraction. Let's make this concrete with a simple exercise. Each morning, take 5 minutes to write down 3 things you are building for yourself today. It could be a fitness goal, a professional milestone, or a personal project. Then ask yourself, am I acting today in a way that aligns with who I am? This isn't about impressing anyone. This is about internal alignment. This small daily practice rewires your mind to operate from purpose rather than approval. They notice a man who is complete, driven, and grounded, and it triggers that spark of attraction that no amount of proving or pleasing could ever create. Another key element is learning to embrace healthy boundaries. Many men fear saying no, thinking it will push a woman away. The opposite is true. Boundaries are magnetic because they signal self-respect. A man who says, "I cannot do that," demonstrates that he has a framework for his life. It's not about being rigid or unkind. It's about showing that your life has weight, direction, and consequence. When she sees a man who will not bend for convenience or approval, she experiences a sense of challenge, curiosity, and respect. That is the difference between feeling safe with a man and feeling alive with him. And make no mistake, women crave both safety and vitality. But the spark of desire comes from seeing a man who carries both together: strength and emotional stability, direction and independence. Let's talk about emotional steadiness because it is often misunderstood. Emotional steadiness does not mean being unfeeling or detached. It means you are able to experience your feelings fully without allowing them to control your actions or your worth. You remain grounded. This steadiness signals reliability, protection, and maturity. Women intuitively recognize it, and it allows them to lean into their emotions safely. One simple daily practice to cultivate this is reflection. At the end of each day, note moments where you felt triggered or reactive. Over time, this creates a calm presence that attracts naturally and keeps relationships healthy, dynamic, and exciting. I also want to address the idea of pursuit versus challenge. Many men believe that they must constantly pursue to maintain interest. The truth is the opposite. A man who is fully engaged in his life, who is building and creating, naturally creates what I call the earned spark. She is not chasing him. She is drawn to match his energy, his drive, and his purpose. This dynamic is critical. That tension, that space of respectful independence, is what ignites passion and long-term attraction. Over-availability extinguishes it. Let me share a story. I worked with a man who had always been a good provider. He worked tirelessly to make his partners feel loved. Yet, he kept experiencing heartbreak. It became clear that he had been living for others, bending his life around theirs, constantly seeking approval. We rebuilt his foundation. He reconnected with hobbies he loved and set clear personal boundaries. He no longer tried to be the man he thought she wanted, but the man he knew he was. Within weeks, his relationships began to change dramatically. He became magnetic, not through charm, but through authenticity, purpose, and self-respect. This brings me to another crucial point: understanding fear and desire in women. Much of what men interpret as inconsistency is the interplay of fear and desire. When a man embodies direction and strength, he allows her to navigate her own fears safely, while simultaneously igniting her desire. She can feel the tension and safety coexisting, and that is what transforms attraction into love. This gives you clarity and compassion. Practical application is key. Every interaction is an opportunity to embody your purpose and integrity. Do not chase validation. Do not over-explain yourself. Instead, show up fully as yourself. Lead in the little decisions and the big ones. Hold space for her emotions without making them your responsibility. Pursue your own passions fiercely. These actions build a presence that is magnetic. Women respond to the energy of a man who knows his worth, not just his words or gestures. That is why a man can be kind and reliable, yet invisible to her desire, because his energy is dependent on her responses rather than grounded in his identity. Finally, I want to speak directly to the man watching this who feels heartbroken, confused, or lost. Maybe she just left. I want you to know you are not broken. You were not playing the wrong game. You were playing by the wrong rules. Society teaches men fairy tales. If you are kind enough, love will come. But that is only half the story. When you embody purpose, leadership, and self-respect, something extraordinary happens. You stop losing. You grieve. You feel. You are human. But you do not crumble. You do not beg. You know at your core that you are enough. Not perfect. Just enough. And that quiet, unwavering certainty, that internal alignment is the most powerful attractor of all. I want to leave you with a few final truths that will transform not just your relationships, but how you show up in life. First, everything we've discussed, purpose, emotional steadiness, self-value, leadership and boundaries, is not about impressing women. It is about becoming a man you respect, a man who is whole, grounded, and complete on his own. That is the man women are drawn to, not because he tries, not because he proves, but because he is authentic, confident, and alive in his own right. And when you live like that, the energy you radiate naturally invites the right connections, the right relationships, and the right experiences into your life. Second, understand the power of transformation over tactics. It is not about memorizing lines, playing hard to get, or manipulating situations. Real transformation is internal. It is the shift in your identity, your priorities, and your self-respect. When you carry yourself differently, speak from authenticity, and live with purpose, women feel the difference before you even say a word. Attraction follows presence, and presence follows purpose. That is why every story I've shared, every client example points to one truth. Women respond to the real man, not the performed man. Third, the mixed signals, the pull and push, the fear and desire, they are not rejection. They are reflections of the complexity of human emotion. Once you understand that, you stop reacting from hurt, you stop chasing, and you stop being controlled by uncertainty. You respond from calmness, clarity, and strength. You act from your own values and priorities, not from a place of fear or desperation. And that, more than anything, changes the dynamic. Women feel safety and desire simultaneously, and that is what creates lasting attraction. Let me give you one more practical exercise to embed this understanding into your daily life. Each week, set aside time to reflect on your purpose, your values, and your boundaries. Write down where you felt yourself shrinking, overextending, or seeking approval. Then write down the actions you can take to reclaim your identity and reinforce your self-respect. This is not a checklist to impress anyone. It is a roadmap to becoming the man you want to be. The more you practice this, the more naturally you will embody the qualities that women respond to at the deepest emotional level. Strength, steadiness, independence, and authenticity. I also want to address the power of patience. Transformation doesn't happen overnight. It requires consistency, reflection, and commitment. But with every step you take toward alignment with yourself, every boundary you uphold, every pursuit you follow that is not dictated by others' approval, you are building an irresistible presence. Women notice. Desire is cultivated through energy, identity, and purpose, not through frantic effort or constant proving. That understanding will save you years of frustration and heartbreak. Finally, I want to speak to you directly, to the man who may be watching this in pain tonight. Maybe you feel rejected, overlooked, or unappreciated. Maybe you did everything right and it still wasn't enough. I want you to hear this deeply. You are not broken. You are not the problem. You were never given the full truth about female psychology. The fairy tales and cultural advice failed you, not because of you, but because they were incomplete. Now you have the real framework. You know the rules that actually govern attraction and connection. You know that she is drawn not to what you do, but to who you are. You know that your life, purpose, emotional steadiness, and self-respect are the ultimate attractors. You know that when you embody these qualities, you do not have to chase, you do not have to prove, and you do not have to shrink. You become a man who is enough, deeply and undeniably, and that is magnetic. If this message hit you somewhere deep, here is what I want you to do. First, hit that like button. Not for me, but for every man out there who needs to hear this truth. Your one click could reach someone sitting alone, questioning their worth and wondering why love hasn't worked out. Second, subscribe and hit the bell. On this channel, every week we go deeper into understanding the psychology of attraction, human behavior, relationships, and identity. This channel is for men who are ready to stop being confused, stop losing, and start living as the strongest, most grounded version of themselves. Third, share this video with a friend, a brother, or anyone who is struggling. Don't wait. You could change someone's life today just by passing this knowledge forward. Remember the lesson I want you to carry with you always. She does not choose the man who does the most for her. She chooses the man who makes her feel most alive. That is the energy you cultivate when you live fully, lead with integrity, and honor yourself first. Become that man, not to manipulate, not to perform, but to be authentic, confident, and whole. And when you do, you will never lose again. You will meet women who see you fully, desire you genuinely, and appreciate your presence for who you truly are. That is the power of understanding female psychology at its deepest level. That is the power of becoming the man you were always meant to be. That is the gift you give not only to the women you connect with, but to yourself.